I was having y'all. It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and I did not think I would be making this many videos, live streaming and all of that, because we normally get to the tampering period, nothing. Get to Wednesday, the free agency officially starts, the new league year starts, nothing. Or maybe we signed a backup running back or something like that. Some super bargain bin linebacker or something like that. But we're actually making moves now, and not only are we making moves that are done pen to paper, signed 2 offensive linemen, went ahead and changed Deron Payne from a dreaded franchise tag that never leads to long-term deals for us, got him turned into a long-term deal, which saved us $9 million worth of cap space this season so we could keep going, got Danny Johnson back for a really team-friendly 2-year deal, and now the Commanders are also reportedly not done. There's reports and rumors we got to talk about. We're apparently interested in Austin Ekeler. That's a report. John Kahn reported that we're interested in linebacker David Long, and then there's rumors that we may still be interested in center Ryan Kelly from the Colts. Highly doubt that one, but we're going to talk about all 3 situations and why we should and should not want all 3 of these guys. And then I'm going to give my verdict at the end of each one and saying what I want to do, but I'm going to give the positives and negatives for each of these 3 guys just to give you both sides and everything. You know how Rico Street Scores do. Y'all know how we do everything. So we got to dive into all of that and more, but before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get notification immediately and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you pull up every Sunday for the call-in live show. Today I just live streamed out of nowhere because I didn't even expect all of this to happen, and I have so many videos to work on, but I felt like I had to live stream for at least 45 minutes with y'all just to get everybody's reactions and for me to put my feelings on everything. So make sure you stay tuned for random, sporadic, out of nowhere live streams if anything big happens, and stay tuned for everything free agency, everything draft, mock drafts, film sessions, all of that. Without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so sources, more than one, but most notably Jeff Simon from ESPN said teams that are drawing serious interest on Chargers running back Austin Ekeler include the Commanders, Bears, and the Lions. Expect the deal to be done in the coming days. Well, if the Bears are really interested, we don't have the money to give them. The Bears have infinite cap space, and even though they've already spent a lot of it on 2 linebackers and potentially, I think, a guard or a center, they still probably outnumber us on cap space. So if the Bears are really interested, we don't really have much of a chance. I'm not exactly sure what the Lions cap space is looking like, but I'm assuming it's probably more than ours, especially after these 2 offensive linemen we signed. But don't sleep. The Commanders still have quite a bit of cap space, and if we really do want Austin Ekeler, like we really want him that bad, we can make that move and make it happen for sure. But this all started because yesterday, Austin Ekeler requested permission to seek trade options, and we may be one of those teams. Apparently, we are one of those teams that's interested again. That was just the Jeff Simon tweet, but there are other reporters that are saying that the Commanders are interested as well, so it's coming from multiple sources. Now, the good about having Austin Ekeler, of course, is that this man is a different type of running back. He had 18 touchdowns last season. The entire Washington Commanders had 24. This guy is a difference maker. His last season stats: 204 attempts, 915 rushing yards with an average of 4.5 yards per carry, 13 touchdowns rushing. Then he had 107 receptions, which is insane. 107 receptions for a running back in one season is crazy. Then a 722 receiving yards from a running back is crazy. An average of 6.7 yards per reception and 5 touchdowns. But he did have 5 fumbles. I do remember him having a slight fumble problem at one point, but previous seasons I don't remember him ever having a fumbling problem. And then I remember him kind of fixing it towards the end of the season, so I'm not too worried about that. But either way, he's a dynamic running back. He's one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL, arguably the most underrated. And you could definitely argue he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. But my problem is, first of all, with the money that he's going to cost and the fact that we already have 2 good running backs that I'm very excited about, and I think Eric Bieniemy is going to get so much out of Antonio Gibson and Curtis Samuel. I feel like, if anything, they're going to be better versions of Isaiah Pacheco that he had for the Chiefs and all of those other guys, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and all of that type of stuff. So trading for a running back when you already have 2 good ones is a little strange, especially when we have bigger needs still, like, again, linebacker. Running back is not a priority right now. I've been seeing these Bijan Robinson in the first round things, and even though he is different, Bijan Robinson is going to be a great running back. Literally, the only reason I want him is so that the Eagles, the Giants, or the Cowboys don't get him, because I feel like he's going to be dominant. But at the end of the day, we have too many holes. We have too many other things to worry about for getting a running back. And then, like, what are they asking for? Because I'm not going higher than a 3rd round pick. Some people feel like we shouldn't even go higher than a 4th, again, with all of the needs that we have. But we do have a 3rd round compensatory pick that we gained from losing Brandon Sheriff to the Jaguars. At the very, very highest I'd be willing to give is that. But he's definitely worth more than that because he's a really good running back. And I'm not willing to go higher than that. So we don't meet. Because I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers are trying to get at least a 2nd for him, because he is a really good running back, one of the best in the NFL. But as a Commanders fan, the Commanders should not be offering anything more than a 3rd. Honestly, even a 3rd is kind of stretching it. And then also the money that he's going to cost, because when you trade for him, first of all, he's on the last year of his contract. So you got to start figuring out how you're going to pay him immediately and go ahead and probably extend him this offseason. Maybe that will cut back some of the cap space for this season, but that's going to end up costing us more money down the line. So not only are you trading for a running back at this game's NFL where it's a passing league, but then also right now he's a $7.75 million cap hit. But again, if you trade for him and extend him, then maybe that cap number can come down and that can make more sense. So this is a really interesting situation. Like I said in my live stream, in a cap-free world where there's no cap space involved at all, something like soccer, then I would love to get Austin Ekeler. I feel like it would be a no-brainer. But with there being a cap space, and we still need to fix linebacker and secondary, and maybe even need to start looking at tight end, and I don't feel like we're done at offensive line, honestly, maybe free agency wise, but I wouldn't be surprised if we still draft like a Broderick Jones in the 1st round, or a Darnell Wright in the 1st round or 2nd round, and things like that. We still kind of have some holes to fill. Running back is not one of them. I feel like if anything, just draft a really good pass catching running back with a 5th round pick or later in this upcoming draft, because there's a few. But you know, man, in a cap-free space world, man, I would love to have Austin Ekeler. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for us, but it's really intriguing and fun, man, to think to just add Austin Ekeler to what Eric Bieniemy already has going on, and how he got greatness out of no matter what running back the Chiefs threw out there. It didn't matter who the Chiefs threw out there with Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator. As long as you could catch passes and run the ball, you were going to be electric. And you were going to be a great fantasy football option. I've been saying that for years, that it doesn't matter who the Chiefs running back is, you draft them in fantasy football at some point, because they're going to ball out every now and then, and fairly consistently. And I feel like Eric Bieniemy getting his hands on an Austin Ekeler, oh man, I feel like he would fall in love with them. And I feel like Austin Ekeler would honestly become our premier back just because of what Eric Bieniemy likes in his running backs. But I feel like Antonio Gibson could do a lot of the same things if used correctly. I believe in Antonio Gibson. I love Antonio Gibson. And it's not just because he's from Atlanta, but I just think his talent is that great, and Scott Turner just wasn't getting the most out of him. Don't forget Curtis Samuel. And then, of course, don't forget Brian Robinson. I mean, Eric Bieniemy is not going to want this pound the ball right up the A-gap, HB dive type of offense that Brian Robinson loves and is best at. But I think Eric Bieniemy is going to get a lot out of Brian Robinson. And I think the duo of Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, with I guess Jonathan Williams and Jared Patterson as your backups, I think that's solid. And again, you can draft a 3rd down back in the draft later, 5th round at the very soonest, maybe even not that early. But imagine if Austin Ekeler with Antonio Gibson, Curtis Samuel, and Brian Robinson is unfair, especially with the new revamped offensive line. And then lastly, before we get up out of here, now there's reports about David Long and Austin Ekeler. This Ryan Kelly thing is a rumor. There's a rumor going around that the Commanders could be interested in trading for Ryan Kelly from the Indianapolis Colts, who was due to make $12.4 million this season, just like Austin Ekeler, especially after signing Nick Gates. I don't see us trading, not only signing a center, but trading for a center that good, so he's going to have to at least go for a 2nd round pick or higher, and then giving him $12.4 million against the cap. I just don't see that. And then after you trade for him, just like Austin Ekeler, you're gonna have to rush to figure out how you're gonna pay him long term. And just like Austin Ekeler as well, you can go ahead and figure out a contract extension now that would take down that 2023 cap hit from $12.4 million this season against the cap to maybe something lower, maybe like something $7 million. So that makes him more affordable technically. But not only are you trading for him, but then you got to figure out a long-term contract at the end of that as well. Because the reason the Miami Dolphins came up so big in the Jalen Ramsey trade, first of all, they got him for pennies, but he still has 2 years left on his contract. So the Dolphins don't have to figure out how they're going to pay Jalen Ramsey long-term yet. Whereas we trade for Austin Ekeler or Ryan Kelly, that would have to be figured out like right now. At least it would be in your best interest before we end up in a situation where we have to franchise tag them next year or something like that. And we got to worry about paying Curtis Samuel, Cameron Curl, and a lot of guys by then. So things could get ugly. So Ryan Kelly, highly doubted. Austin Ekeler, quite likely, but doubted as well. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. As always, man, I appreciate all the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors' name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Let me know your opinions on all three of these guys. How do you feel about trading for Austin Ekeler? And how do you feel about trading for center Ryan Kelly from the Indianapolis Colts? All three in a cap space free world would be automatic yeses. But there's cap space, there's draft picks we got to give up to get two of those guys. That's why it doesn't necessarily make sense, but we'll see. But let me know how you feel about that. And again, shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors whose names you see scrolling on the screen right now. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.